Hello, it's Emma here. I'm a personal trainer, health coach, yoga teacher, and Reiki master. And I'm really on a mission to help women feel great about their bodies and to take care of them with love and to really love themselves to health. And I think one of the things that we miss out on when it comes to health and fitness in the diet culture world we live in is we forget that part of ourselves that's kind of that spiritual part. And we become really, really focused on how we look and less about how we feel, and even less about how we are showing up in the world and really being aligned to our values and what makes us us, if that makes sense. So I'm really on a mission to sort of combine all of those things. It's important to exercise, it's important to eat well, it's important to be healthy, but it's also important to look after your mental health and your spiritual health as well. And in today's video, I just wanted to give you an insight into my daily practices. And there are 7 things that I try to do every day that, I don't beat myself up anymore about not doing things every single day. But there are 7 things that I try to have on my list every day. And that there's 4 things that I've given up that I used to do on a daily basis. And I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. So my first daily habit is meditation. And so meditation's such an important technique to help us become resilient on an emotional and spiritual level. It helps us deal with problems without kind of reacting to them. We get to sort of take our time to think about things. We get to be authentic. We get to look after our emotions by being mindful. And so meditation is a mindfulness practice. It's something that I've tried on and off for years and years and years. Like, I can remember, 15 years ago trying to meditate on a daily basis, but never getting through it because I always prioritized all the physical stuff like going to the gym or counting my calories. So it's really a wonderful thing to finally have meditation as part of my regular routine, and it really does help me to be less reactive, less emotionally volatile, and more kind of accepting of myself and other people. So I highly recommend it. My second daily practice is gratitude journaling. So every night when I pop into bed, I have a beautiful journal that I bought for this purpose for this year. And I write down probably about 6 or 7 things that I feel really grateful for today. And if I don't know where to start, I start with my dog. But there's usually something that's happened that I'm really, really happy about. But you can start really small, and it can be that I'm still alive today, or that I have a roof over my head, or that I ate 3 meals today, whatever, those basic things that we often take for granted. But as you build on a gratitude practice, and this is what I found, but I read about this before I found this to be true, is that our brain starts to look for things to be grateful for throughout the day, because it kind of it's trained to do that. So by the end of the day, you've got 4 or 5 or 10 things that you can write down because your brain's been looking for them, because they know that you're going to write down at the end of the day. So it really does change the way the brain functions and helps us to become more grateful throughout the day, and more grateful automatically, which just obviously gives us a lot of those feel-good hormones, but just makes us feel better in life as well. There's so much tragedy going on at the moment. We're allowed to still be happy with our own lives, and we're allowed to be grateful for what we have. My third daily practice is something that I've started just this year, and every night, again, around the time that I do my gratitude journaling, I read out a list of affirmations. So things like, I'm proud of myself. I don't have to be perfect. I'm proud of the fact that I'm, trying to grow all the time. They're not the exact words. I can't remember them because I read them off a list. But every night I remind myself that I'm a good person, and I say these things out loud. I'm a single person. I don't often have people telling me these things, so I remind myself every day. And the more I remind myself, the more I believe them to be true, which means I'm more likely to show up in the world as someone who believes those things about myself. So I highly recommend affirmations. They can feel really weird when you start, but they're so powerful to really change the way your brain thinks and to really start to show up in the world in a different way. My fourth daily practice is I pull a tarot card every day. This is partly because I'm learning about tarot and I find it really fascinating. So it's kind of like a little kind of bit of study for myself every day. I don't necessarily live my life by the tarot, but I love to read it and go, oh, that's interesting. That really does resonate with what's going on in my life right now. So I guess it's kind of a mindfulness practice because it brings me into the present moment. I'm not judging myself based on this tarot card. It's just a bit of fun fun, really. And I'm learning about the tarot, and it's just a way of sort of reflecting on myself every day. And I have this funny little joke that I say, in that tarot cards are never wrong, because if you pull a card and you go, that doesn't resonate with me, then you've got your answer, right? That's not what you think, that's not what you want, so it gives you an answer. So even if it's not the right card for you, it's helping you make a decision. And so as I said, I don't live my life by them, but I find them really, really fascinating, and I love to use them as a tool for self-reflection. My fifth and sixth things are things that have been on my list for years, but I've changed my attitude towards them. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that when I talk about the things that I've stopped doing. But these two things are moving my body pretty much every day, and also having a smoothie pretty much every day. Now, as I said, my attitude towards those two things have changed a lot. I used to do both of those things to try and get the perfect looking body, but now I do them. The smoothie thing is really because I'm quite busy. Most mornings I start work really, really early because I have early morning clients. Most nights I finish work quite late because I'm teaching yoga classes or fitness classes. So I don't eat as well as I'd like to, and I don't have a lot of time to prep and look after my eating habits. So at least if I have a smoothie every day and I fill it up with berries and greens powder and protein and some of my supplements, then I can make sure that I'm really looking after myself. Even if the rest of my meals aren't fantastic, I know that I've nourished my body in a great way. Same with moving my body. Some days I want to be really overt and out there and push myself really hard. And then there's other days where I don't. And there's some days where I don't want to do any exercise at all. So although this is on my daily list, if I don't tick the box every single day, I really do forgive myself, because I'm not in that mindset anymore of having to do a certain amount of exercise to burn a certain amount of calories, which is such an amazing way to be. It's a lot more free and a lot more joyful. And I think that's what movement should be all about. The last thing on my daily list is planning. So I try to write down like 3 to 5 things that I want to get done in the day. Like all of us, I'm really busy. I have a job where I manage a health food shop. I have my own business. My own business has about 10 different things that are going on at any given time. I help to care for my friend who has cancer. I have to run my own household. It's just me. So, I want to clean my house, and I want to try and eat as well as I can, and I need to look after my dog and all those things. So I write down, 3 to 5 things that feel really important for me, because if I don't do that, I find that I kind of run around and not get much at all done. So this helps me to be sort of a bit more focused and get the things that I really feel important done, which helps me to feel accomplished by the end of the day. And I highly recommend it. It's just a great way, ticking boxes feels really, really good, don't you think? Okay, so maybe you're thinking, how the heck am I going to fit all these new practices into my daily life? I'm busy enough as it is, Emma, and I totally understand why you're thinking that. So what I've done to create space for these important practices in my life, and I think I just want to remind you that you choose practices that are important to you, so they don't necessarily have to be what I've just described. But the way I've created space is by this concept of crowding out. So I've added more of these things that I want to do in my life, more of these things that are important to me, so that I don't have as much space in my life for the stuff that wasn't making sense for me. So I've crowded out the bad stuff or the less desirable things to make way, or not to make way, by adding in more and more of the good stuff. So I want to explain a few things that I have crowded out, some of the daily habits that I'm no longer doing that have made way for these new habits, and how, again, they're not necessarily going to be the same for you. The things I'm going to talk about aren't things that I want you to quit immediately, but I want you to think about the things that in your life that you do on a regular basis, if not a daily basis, that don't make you feel good. And these are the things that we want to be crowding out. These are the things we want to be removing from our daily habits, so we've got more space for the good stuff. So the first daily habit that I gave up quite some time ago was weighing myself, because every time I did that, unless I'd lost some weight, I felt like shit. So I would generally weigh myself. Sometimes I went through a phase where I was doing it every day. But then I went through a phase where I was doing it only when I felt like I'd lost some weight. So I was feeling confident and I was feeling like my body looked great and I was feeling like I felt fit and strong and healthy. And sometimes I would step on those scales and I wouldn't have lost weight, or in fact, I'd put on a little bit of weight and then my whole day would be ruined. So 3 seconds before, I was feeling strong and confident and sexy and healthy. And then 3 seconds later, because of what was written on the scales, I felt like shit. So stopping weighing myself was a huge, huge breakthrough in terms of setting myself up for these good practices. Because when I didn't feel good about myself, I didn't want to meditate. I didn't want to do journaling. I didn't want to do these things. I just wanted to feel like crap about myself. So it really was a huge game changer for me. Now, I understand maybe a doctor's told you should lose weight or you feel like you want to lose weight. That's okay. Like, I still would love you to get to a place where you understand that how your body feels and, what your medical markers are saying is more important than what you weigh on the scales. But if you can learn to weigh yourself maybe once a week or even once a month, because our weight does fluctuate because of hormones, because of how much water we've had to drink, because of how humid it is outside, because of lots of different reasons. So it'd be great if you are weighing yourself daily to try and do it on a weekly or monthly basis instead, because that's going to give you a better indication of how your weight loss is going. But as I said, I would prefer it if you didn't weigh yourself at all. It's a huge game changer in terms of freeing up time, because you're not spending your whole day hating yourself because of what the scale said first thing in the morning. The second thing that I gave up was going to the gym. So I was a big gym junkie in Sydney before I became a personal trainer, before I left Sydney and, started a whole new life. I would go to the gym at like 5 a.m. to make sure that I got my workout in before work. And I would sometimes go again at lunchtime. My gym was right next door to where I worked. And so it was taking up a lot of space in terms of the amount of time in my life. But it was also making me, again, feel bad about myself, because when I was at the gym, and I think this is particularly in a city like Sydney where everyone is so focused on their bodies, but when I was at the gym, I'd be surrounded mostly by people that were really thin, usually younger than me, and had bodies that I was probably never going to attain. And so I spent a lot of my time at the gym just feeling like crap about myself. So for me personally, finding other ways to exercise outside of the gym was a huge game changer. So I'm still exercising, I still use weights, I still do cardio, I still do all of those things, but I'm not at the gym environment, which tends to be very diet culture focused, and you tend to be surrounded by people that have these pretty amazing looking bodies, and that comparisonitis can be really detrimental. So I have my Moon Phases workout program, which is what I do. This is what my own exercise program is, and it's a way of exercising without having to be at the gym. So think about that for you. If the gym's making you feel like crap, then maybe it's time to find another way to exercise. The third thing I gave up was alcohol. Now, for me personally, I was drinking fairly regularly, like pretty much every single day, some days more than others. And I had started to use it as a way of dealing with stress and those negative body image issues and all the negative things in my life. I would use alcohol to sort of block it all out. I thought I wasn't doing that. I thought I was doing it as, relaxation and to make myself feel better. But what it was really doing was fueling my anxiety, making me feel bad about myself. And it was something that wasn't serving me. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up alcohol, because if it's not doing that for you, then that's okay. But for me, that was a huge game changer. As soon as I would have a drink at night, I'd be like, I can't meditate now. I can't do yoga now. It's not the good time for journaling. So it kind of stopped me from doing all these other practices because I wasn't in the headspace for it. So it's been huge for me to give up alcohol. The very last thing that I've added into my daily routine is not expecting that I do everything on a daily basis and being forgiving of myself if I don't. And that was huge for me too. So when I used to have daily practices like the gym or like counting calories, I would think if I don't do it every day, then I've ruined everything. Nowadays, I understand that if I don't do something every day, it doesn't matter. It's what I do most days that count. So if I do, some of my daily habits every day, if I do none of my daily habits, on a certain day, that's okay. I'm still a good person. I'm still growing, I'm still moving forward with my life. So I've let go of that expectation that it is every single day. So I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, what are some of the things maybe you could cut out of your life? Or how do you want to crowd those things out? What are some things you want to add into your daily routine so that you've got less space for the things that aren't making you feel so good? I'd love to hear about those in the comments section. And I will also put a link to my Moon Phases workout in case going to the gym is something that you might be wanting to reconsider. But I thank you very much for watching this week's video, and I look forward to speaking to you next time.